Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the latest political hand grenade thrown by lunatic-in-chief, our Home Secretary, Braverman, with a very serious criminal prosecution taking place. The Home Secretary has basically declared the defendant innocent, thus interfering in the most public way possible in an ongoing trial. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So Braverman's been mouthing off again, as well as arguing for the UK to completely abandon all human rights laws again. She's been interfering in a live criminal case. And this relates to a firearms officer in London being charged with murder for shooting dead an unarmed black man, of course, last year. The situation is already politically charged because, according to a report in the Telegraph, some Met Police firearms officers seem to have said that they will no longer carry firearms as a result of the charge. Now, I only know some of the details, but I will say this, that if those officers do not feel confident in being able to carry out their highly responsible duties without killing unarmed people, it is right that they do so. The community must have faith in the police if the police are able to do their jobs. Like, we don't live in a literal police state where you have a lot of police officers per head of population. We actually have very few. In fact, we have fewer police officers per capita than we did under Labour. That means communities need to know that the police are going to protect them. Because do you know what? There's not enough police to enforce their will as such. So they need the cooperation of the community. It is better to risk a criminal carrying out a serious offence, including potentially murder, than for the police to become murderers just to be on the safe side. Because there is no safe side that has a police officer shooting dead a man who poses no threats to the public. Because what the officers who have turned in their guns have said, they cannot be sure that they would not, when making their split-second decisions, shoot dead an unarmed member of the public. Like I say, it is therefore right that they are not firearms officers. And I'm not trying to downplay the split-second nature of some of their decisions. Although I would say in this particular case, there was no suggestion at all that the officer who fired the shot believed in any way that the person was armed. You know, I am unmoved by notions of this difficult and dangerous nature of the jobs. They choose it. There are several professions where you literally hold people's lives in your hands. Nobody forces you to take those jobs. When you choose to take that job, you choose to take the responsibility that goes with it. If you can't take it seriously, or you just don't think you have the right requirements for it, quit. The increasing numbers of unarmed and, let's face it, non-white people who become the target of these unnecessary killings, they didn't choose that. I will grant you in this particular case, the dead man, Chris Carber, was not exactly a wholly innocent member of society, as many have been, but he did not present a threat to life. He was being an arse. He was refusing to follow police instructions, being a complete arsehole. Had they disabled the car, dragged him out, got a few scrapes as they arrested him, I would have had no sympathy for him at all. You know, they could then have charged him, make him pay for the limited amount of damage he'd caused. What you don't do is observe, oh, he's being a bit difficult, I'll shoot him. Besides, what people who know nothing about it seem to be missing is the CPS has chosen to charge the officer. You know, this isn't trial by media. That means that they think it was an unlawful killing. But the Home Secretary, Braverman, in citing this article in the Telegraph, has effectively attacked the prosecution. She said the officers will have her full backing and she'll do everything in her power to support them. Now, statements like this are fine as long as they're qualified. They should always be qualified. Yes, she should support officers doing their best in very difficult circumstances, but there must always be an understanding that negligence or worse cannot be tolerated. Now, whether negligence was really at play here, I mean, it certainly sounds like it was an absolutely ridiculous decision to shoot him. I don't know. That'll be the purpose of the prosecution. That is for the courts to decide. That's how we decide if someone's broken the law. But the CPS has charged this officer, which means they believe there's a realistic prospect of conviction, which means that trained prosecutors have taken the view that on the balance of the evidence, the officer probably did not discharge their duty as they should have done so as required by law. Braverman has tried to write a blank cheque here for even negligent officers. A bad enough position to take at any time. But when the Met Police has been at the centre of so many scandals, and so many recent scandals, involving officers abusing their position to actually cause harm to innocent and especially vulnerable people instead of protecting them. This is an incredibly naive position to take when, as I say, in this country, we need our police forces to work with communities. What this is doing, it's creating a them and us situation between the police and the community. And that is never going to work. It really does speak of Braverman being someone who just wants, to nick a quote, to watch the world burn. Everything she does and everything she says seems designed to destroy the fabric of society. As a former senior prosecutor, Nazir Afzal, said, Braverman could have had a quiet word with police representatives. She could have offered her blank cheque support behind closed doors. She could have said, look, I'm supporting you here. That she's done this so publicly is to, as one of the most senior members of the government, it is an attempt to subvert the course of justice. Sometimes newspapers get into trouble in terms of the way they report on things like this, if it might prejudice the trial. This is the Home Secretary. She's basically proclaimed the verdict before a trial date's even been set. And because she is so senior and well known, it could be very likely a lot of people are going to see this. Like, might it now be difficult to find jurors who have not seen her ill-chosen words? And it's just another example of the wider fear I have for someone like Braverman. She's completely unhinged. Some people hope she becomes the next Conservative leader because that should keep the Tories out of power for a good long time. I've said before, no. The political damage she'll cause to her party, potentially immense, absolutely. But she's far too toxic. In many ways, as the Tory leader of the opposition, she will have an even higher profile than as Home Secretary. Seems bizarre, doesn't it, that an opposition leader with no real power could have more media focus than one of the most senior members of the government. Joint third, most senior member of the government. But the reason is that as leader of the opposition, she would be aiming to head up the entire government at the following election. And therefore she would be leading on all of the policies of that government. So that raises her profile. I hope she never becomes Conservative leader. I don't care what the potential benefits are, the downsides are horrendous. I further hope that whomever does replace Sunak is wise enough not to include her in a senior role within their shadow cabinet. Although I think that second hope is vanishingly small. The best I can hope for, I think, is that she has left politics by the time the Conservatives get themselves into an election-winning position again. Assuming Labour are silly enough not to bring in PR and make it all but certain, that is. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships, and until next time, I'll see you later.